Donald Trump today failing in his efforts to dodge, spin away, and avoid answering the $64 million question of the hour. What did he know about the crimes and perversions of his former friend, deceased sex offender Jeffrey Epstein? Revealed last night by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, a reference to Donald Trump in the now infamous Jeffrey Epstein birthday book. Take a look at this. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that it is a note from Mar-a-Lago member and businessman Joel Paschal. It shows a poster board-sized check for $22,500 from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. A woman's face is redacted in the image. Below the photo is a note. That note reads, quote, "Jeffrey showing early talents with Money Plus Women sells fully depreciated," name of the woman redacted, "to Donald Trump for $22,500. The Wall Street Journal reports this, quote, "The woman, a wealthy European then in her 20s, severed all ties with Epstein around 1997 and had no romantic relationship with either Epstein or Trump," her lawyer said. The lawyer added that she doesn't know Paschal and has no knowledge of the letter naming her, which she called, quote, "a disgusting and deeply disturbing hoax." Paschal did not respond to a request for comment from NBC News. His letter, though, raises more questions about how much people in Jeffrey Epstein's orbit, including Donald Trump, knew about what he was doing. And it's the kind of thing that makes Team Trump's spin looks increasingly unsustainable and ridiculous. This morning, Donald Trump told NBC's Garrett Haake that the birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein that he allegedly wrote was a, quote, "dead issue." But it is difficult, if not impossible, to claim that something is a dead issue when every day seems to bring about new revelations that enhance our understanding of the ties and the nature of the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. Survivors are still asking for transparency as well, and solid majorities of Americans, including a majority of Republicans, believe that Donald Trump is hiding something. It is also not a hoax, as Trump continues to insist it is, even after the publication of the note in Epstein's birthday book. The birthday book was from 2003. It was a gift for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th. It was handed over to the House Oversight Committee by the Epstein estate. For it to be a fake, as the White House and pro-Trump media is claiming it is, that would mean that the note inside of it from Trump was forged or faked 22 years ago. As for the Trump administration claiming that the signature on the birthday note to Jeffrey Epstein isn't Donald Trump's, Wall Street Journal today reports this, quote, "In the Epstein letter, Trump's signature is a squiggly Donald mimicking pubic hair. Trump often signs with his full name, but there are other examples of personal letters he sent with a similar signature and bold serif lettering." The Wall Street Journal pointing to a thank you letter Trump wrote to George Conway in 2006, as well as this letter Donald Trump wrote to Hillary Clinton in 2000, congratulating her on winning her Senate race. The release of the Epstein birthday book breathing new life into the questions about Donald Trump and his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein is where we start today with some of our favorite experts and friends. The president of Media Matters for America, Angelo Carusone, is here. With me at the table, Puck News chief political columnist, MSNBC national affairs analyst John Heilemann is here. Also joining us, former criminal division deputy chief at SDNY, MSNBC legal analyst, host of a new YouTube show, Courtside, Christy Greenberg's here. Christy, I want to start with you where we left off last time you were here, talking about the lengths Jeffrey Berman, Donald Trump's first head of SDNY during his first term, went to keep the raid of Epstein's home secret. I went back and read the chapter after you were here. Clearly, there was, and Andrew Weissman and others have said there are all sorts of reasons to keep things from Maine DOJ. But Trump isn't a normal, that wasn't a normal Maine DOJ. And SDNY wasn't a normal office at the time. Just say a little bit more about what might be sort of in the inside the investigation files themselves that Trump may not have even known about at the time in his first term.
So the main thing that you would expect to see would be FBI reports of their interviews with victims, with other witnesses that really tell the story. And we know from Maxwell's trial that really focused on 6 girls. But we've also seen DOJ talk about hundreds, thousands of victims. So there's a lot more than what was presented at that trial. And Jeffrey Berman actually says in the book, because of all of the nonsense that went on in Florida, they really tried to focus their case on what happened in New York, acts that were in that New York house. And so it is highly likely, going back and looking at that book again from Jeff Berman, that it sounds like they really tried to cabin their case about what they could prove that wouldn't get damaged from that non-prosecution agreement, that sweetheart deal in Florida. So there's likely a whole lot there that was not presented at trial, that is not public, of victims telling their stories that we have not heard. And then that gets backed up when the investigators try to corroborate those victims, right? So they're looking for, search warrant returns. I think there are multiple search warrant returns that have not been made public. What did they get? Did they get photographs, videos, documentary evidence? So there is a lot there that is still, I recall you mentioning on one of your other shows, like over 300 gigabytes. To put that in perspective, that's about like 90 million pages if you were just looking at pages. So that is a very tall building is just what that would be. It's a lot of information, and we have not seen all of it.
What's the significance of the actual pages of the birthday book, the now known 2 examples of references to Donald Trump?
Well, first, it strikes me that one, that the people who are submitting letters to this book, they all kind of have the same tone. They're all lewd, and they all seem to know it's an open secret that this man was a pedophile. They're all there are pictures of young girls. They're all referencing his exploits with young girls. One person says, "Oh, it's shocking you're not in the penitentiary yet." Like this was, one, seemed to be pretty much an open secret. 2 is that they treated it like a joke. Like these women, being exploited was funny to them. They were celebrating Epstein for it. I found that part of it particularly disgusting. And then the third is just the arrogance that it would be so bold as to be put in writing. Nobody's hiding it. They're all celebrating. And this is part of celebrating his life, 50 years of life, to go on and talk about all these young women that he's abused. And this idea that, again, Ghislaine Maxwell saying, I had no idea anybody did anything inappropriate. She put the book together. She was the one soliciting the letters. So, of course, she knew. And the one thing I would want to say that the book clearly shows is she said during her interview that that the book was something that she had seen in Discovery, at least parts of the book in Discovery. So DOJ has this book. So they know whether Donald Trump's letter is in it. And Ghislaine Maxwell had a trial. The book is relevant to her guilt, her knowledge of what was going on in that world. The fact that Donald Trump's letter was not made public as part of that trial puts the lie to this Republican talking point that, if there was something bad about Donald Trump, the Biden DOJ would have released it. They didn't. We know that his name was in the file. They never released that. And it's highly likely, based on this, that DOJ had the book. She said parts of it were in Discovery. They never released that. Nor did the Epstein estate release it until they got a subpoena to provide it. So if the idea that if you're going to fake a letter from Donald Trump, you're going to go through all the trouble of coming up with this thing, faking his signature. To what end? Nobody released it. They only released it when there was a process to do so.
They were going to fake a letter, put it in a book, leave it under seal until one Republican breaks with Trump when he's reelected after inciting a deadly insurrection, decide with the Democrats in the minority and try to get the estate to release it. Might have been better to organize in Pennsylvania. What do you make of the word one depreciated woman?
Fully depreciated.
Fully depreciated woman.
Even worse.
Just sickening. It's so sickening. And what the message that it sends to not just Epstein's victims and Maxwell's victims, but all sex trafficking victims, that this is a president who, again, it fits in with what we knew about him, the locker room talk. It's that kind of nonsense that, continues to be perpetuated. It's just more of that. And it's just the more you see, the more it's just a bunch of creepy old dudes who had money, who had power and connections. They knew these young girls didn't. They knew they didn't have a voice, and they took advantage of them. And for them to, again, and treat them as though they are bought and paid for. I mean, it's repulsive.